alphabetical order, we have David Brooks, representing the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom, Neil Darby from the Liberal Democrats, Trevor Hart representing the Conservatives, then we've got Mark Hendrick for Labour, we've got Michael Avalette, who is an independent, and finally we've got Joseph Omiaka from the Rejoin EU Party. Now, you may or may not know that there are actually 10 candidates standing in the Preston constituency at the general election. We did, of course, invite all of them here tonight, but 4 of them have had to send their apologies. They are, in alphabetical order, Yusuf Baylock, who is standing as an independent, James Elliott from Reform UK, Derek Colleen from UKIP, and Isabella Metcalfe-Reiner from the Green Party. Although by the wonders of technology, you will be hearing from a couple of them shortly. And that's because we thought we would start this evening by giving each of the candidates their chance to make their pitch to the people of Preston in 60 seconds. We're going to go in alphabetical order with the people that you can see on the stage here. But first, as I say, we gave the opportunity to the people who aren't here tonight also to send a video if they would like, so that they can at least make their 90-second pitch to you, even if they aren't able to be with us this evening. 2 of them took up that opportunity, Yusuf Baylock and Isabella Metcalfe-Reiner. So the screen will now return. You'll be deprived of the view of these gents here just for a few minutes, and we'll hear from our 2 other candidates who aren't here this evening, but we did nevertheless want to address you. And first, Yusuf Baylock, standing as an independent.
So I felt that if the opportunity now came at this late stage of my life to represent this hometown of mine, and also the community which involves us Muslims and also the rest of the community. And it's time that I actually voice a true voice for the people of Preston in all aspects of politics, socially, economically. So I say to all Prestonians that we belong to this town, and I now feel that it's time for me to contribute whatever I can to this town. And indeed, where our children are going to go for the future, what type of legacy we want to leave for our children in education, in their morality, and also in terms of making sure that everybody feels a stakeholder in this society.
Hi everyone, I'm Isabella Metcalfe-Reiner, the Green Party parliamentary candidate for Preston. Apologies for not being able to be there tonight, but I'm really glad I'm able to address you in this way. All the polls are clear. The Conservatives are set for a historic defeat and Labour will win a landslide majority. The concern is that Keir Starmer's Labour government will not implement the real change that we so desperately need. It's clear that we need more than just a few small tweaks to undo the damage of the last 14 years of Conservative governments. Green MPs in Parliament will push Labour to be better, be braver, be bolder and be more ambitious on everything from workers' rights and the NHS to climate action, support for Gaza and eradicating poverty. I know in particular that many people feel let down by Keir Starmer's Labour, in particular by Keir Starmer declaring that Israel had a right to cut off water and electricity to Gaza and ordering his MPs to not vote for a ceasefire in Parliament. It's particularly disappointing that our MP here in Preston, Sir Mark Hendrick, followed Keir Starmer's orders and did not vote for a ceasefire. The Green Party have been clear in our stance since the very beginning of this crisis, calling for an immediate mutual ceasefire, the unconditional release of all hostages, and the suspension of arms sales to Israel. Vote Green on the 4th of July for real hope and real change. Thank you.
Thank you for 90 seconds to make their opening pitch to you, the people of Preston. And as I say, they will go in alphabetical order. So starting down at the far end there, we have from Alliance for Democracy and Freedom, David Brooks. David, your 90 seconds start now.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm an independent candidate from the ADF. I'm not whipped and I'm not dictated to and told what to do, what policies to push, what ideologies to push. Most of these gentlemen here will be told that there's only 2 genders. We're paying extortionate amount of money for net zero, and 98.5% of all greenhouse gas is produced by nature and essential to nature. We've got a cost of living crisis where kids are struggling to heat struggling to eat, struggling to heat their homes. We've got so many other issues, like we've got additives and sweeteners in the foods what are causing cancer. Only the other month, Diet Coke was in the news for causing cancer. There's some serious issues, but we seem to be skirting around the main issues with anecdotal stuff and supporting wars in nations with killing kids, wars of attrition, cutting water off, cutting food off. It's disgusting. It's about time somebody stood up who's not whipped, somebody independent who's not pushed, who's not got an ideology, who just wants to serve the people, and some honest policies and some truths that need to be told.
David, well, of you 90 seconds there. Thank you very much. And next we move to the Liberal Democrats and Neil Darby.
Are we standing or we're sitting? Just to
Entirely up to you, Neil. David could be heard, so yes, whichever's more comfortable.
I'll sit if that's all right. So, good evening. My name is Neil Darby. I'm the Liberal Democrat candidate to be your MP here in Preston. I'm also, as it happens, one of the youngest candidates that we have that's standing. And I'm here to stand for the future of Preston, and I'm here to stand for change. But I should be clear that being a young candidate is not the same as being inexperienced. In my day job, I work for a local Lancashire family business, and I'm also the trustee for 3 local charities. I've been a councillor here in Preston for 10 years, and I had the good honour of being the Mayor of Preston, the youngest Mayor of Preston in over 170 years in 2022-23. And in everything I do, I strive to be visible and to be accessible and to reach out across the community, because that is what I strongly believe our representatives are here to do. My top priorities in this election are to tackle the crisis that we have in our NHS and in our social care system, to tackle the crime that we have, and to tackle the ongoing cost of living. I'm standing because I strongly believe that Preston deserves better. I believe that with my proud history of representing this city and the policies that I stand for, I'm the right man to take this city forward into the future as our MP. Thank you.
Neil, thank you very much indeed. And Trevor from the Conservatives, over to you. Your 90 seconds start now.
Thank you, good evening. I'm Trevor Hart, and I made Preston my home when I was about 11, so I didn't start off in Preston, but I came and then I went to teach. So I started my career in Coventry, but I came back to my home, what I considered to be Preston. From the age of 11 I started here, and then as I started my career. Head teacher in a local school in Preston. Education is something that I'm passionate about. Providing the good start for our children, looking after them, helping them develop, making sure that we've got good schools in our city, in the right places, is a passion of mine. As well as that, the National Health Service, the hospitals. If we're lucky, we're going to get a new hospital built in Preston. It's really, really critical that that happens. I've been spending far too much time at the hospitals. I lost my wife to cancer. I went through cancer myself recently. I know what a good service it can provide. The model we've got in Rosemere is something that we should be presenting for all of our hospitals. It's really, really important. Working with the police, making sure that our city is crime-free as far as we're able, and better and better. It's so, so important. Those are 3 passions of mine that I would want to bring forward and try to help our city to get better.
Trevor, I've got to be strict with the time.
Right,
90 seconds
that's absolutely fine. That's who I am.
We move on next, please, to Preston's most recent MP, Wages from Mark Hendrick.
Thanks, Paul. It's a great honour to represent the people of Preston in Parliament. I've been selected again to stand as your Labour and Cooperative Party candidate for the forthcoming election. And since I last stood, we now have a changed Labour Party and ambitious plans as well to rebuild this country. We want to get economic stability back, cut NHS waiting times, launch a new security border command, set up Great British Energy, crack down on antisocial behaviour and recruit 6,500 new teachers. For the last 14 years as your MP, I've seen firsthand many of the problems that people of Preston have faced, and I've worked tirelessly to try and improve the lives of thousands of individuals who have suffered under this Conservative government. By electing a Labour government, we can achieve real change. I'm also a strong advocate for issues that matter to you: international conflicts, animal rights, justice, civil rights, many others that people reach out to me every day to help with. Many of you will be extremely concerned about the war in Gaza. I am too. And whilst I didn't vote for the S&D motion, I did vote for the Labour Party motion, which also supported a ceasefire. The Labour Party totally supports an immediate ceasefire from both sides, along with recognition of the state of Palestine and a two-state solution as a way forward.
Mark, that's your 90 seconds, I'm afraid. Thank you very much indeed for that. And next
genocide!
So my name is Michael Lavlett. I'm standing on behalf of Preston Independence. Preston Independence was formed as an organisation in March because we felt that the political parties in this country simply didn't represent us. The political establishment talks down to us, they never listen, and that for us formed through our campaign around Gaza in the first instance. Since November, 75% of the population have been in favour of a ceasefire. 58% of the population are in favour of stopping arming Israel, yet there's no politician in the mainstream political parties who speak out for those things. And that rolls forward. It rolls forward to how our NHS is treated, how our education systems are treated. Even things like Ashton Park and the sale of parts of Ashton Park in Preston, when the local population don't want such things to happen, the political establishment just don't listen. Now, Mark said he'd been MP for 14 years. I think it's actually 25. But that's perhaps symbolic of the fact that he's not around enough for the people in Preston. That people don't know where his office is. That people don't know how to get in contact with him. And don't feel that we've got an MP who represents us. Labour will win the election on the 5th of July. But what I'm arguing for is somebody who will stand up for the people of Preston, speak out in Westminster, isn't whipped, and will put Preston and people first.
We have Joseph from Rejoin EU. Joseph, your 90 seconds start now.
Thank you very much. Rejoin EU is a party made up of people from right across the political spectrum, both Leavers and Remainers, who've come to recognise that Brexit has been a disaster and is the fundamental problem that we face in this country. The Office for Budget Responsibility and Goldman Sachs have estimated that the total economic hit to this country has been over £100 billion and 4 to 5%, depending on the estimate, a decrease in our GDP during that time. This is far worse than anybody predicted before the referendum happened. And you can see this even in Preston itself. I mean, all of us are, if we're honest, we can see that Preston has been going downhill, shops are closing, the place is just much less vibrant than it was before the referendum happened. Britain's position in the world has also been diminished as a result of Brexit. There is no patriotism in waiting for some fantasy Brexit fairyland where everything's going to come right, because it's not going to happen. All that's happening is that our opportunities, our children and our grandchildren's opportunities are being diminished. Now, Labour will win this election, but every vote that you cast for Rejoin EU sends a clear message to Keir Starmer that this issue cannot be avoided anymore.
Joseph, I'm going to have to pull you up there, but thank you very much indeed. And thanks to all our candidates for their opening pitches.